Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. Please visit our website, cscatlanta.org, for a complete list of live and recorded events. We invite you to sign up for our newsletter to stay connected to all future programs.
Well, welcome. Today we're going to do a practice for the feet, focusing primarily on neuropathy. But if you have any foot issues at all, foot pain, plantar fasciitis, heel pain, or any restrictions in your foot's ability to move through its normal ranges of motion, any arthritis in the feet, any bunions, any hammer toes, this practice is great for all of the above. Our feet are the foundation of our connection to the earth. So they really are the foundation. And they're probably the most under-exercised part of our body. We work on our legs and our arms and our shoulders and our necks, but rarely do people do a lot of focused movement or exercise or stretching or strengthening of the feet. There are over 100 muscles in the feet. Quarter of your bones in your body are from the ankles down. So there's a lot of stuff in there to work out. With neuropathy, you may have different sensations and different issues. Neuropathy is damage to the peripheral nervous system, which innervate the extremities. So it can occur in the feet or the hands are the most common places, but you can also develop neuropathy in other places. It's usually manifested with different symptoms described in different ways and can be experienced differently by different people. Chemotherapy are one of the drugs that can create neuropathy. It can be a side effect of different types of chemotherapy. And sometimes it's after you finish the chemotherapy that you could develop neuropathy. It could be during treatment. But it's the toxic effects of the medications in your system attacking your peripheral nervous system. The best thing that you can do for neuropathy, among other things, is movement and restoring more natural movement of the feet. The symptoms can be described as pain or numbness or tingling or loss of sensation, or I've had people have stabbing pain, or people having a feeling like their foot there's always sand in their shoe, or their foot is in a block of cement every time they try to move it. So there's a lot of heaviness. So it can be manifested in different ways, and it can be in different intensity levels throughout the course of the day or through the evening. So developing a great foot movement practice is going to help flush toxins from the peripheral nervous system and help restore some movement and really help with lymphatic system removing toxins from the body as well. So let's go ahead and get started. For your practice, you'll just need a mat, maybe a chair. I've got a small stool here. You may want to have some yoga blocks handy, but they're really not necessary. You could also have a stack of books, perhaps, if you want to elevate your feet. I'm going to start on the floor and probably move up to the stool. And that way you get a little bit closer view of my actual feet. So let's get started. And I'm going to come up to the stool, and you're going to see more of my feet and less of my upper body. I've got my socks on, so I'm going to go ahead and take my socks off. So I'm going to slide those off, and then I'll invite you to do the same. So I'm going to take my socks off here. And you may notice that I have toe separators on. These are great if your toes don't have normal separation between the toes, or your toes are tightly bound together. That can really intensify or exacerbate neuropathy symptoms. So having good toe spread is important. We're going to work on that today, both passively as well as actively. But you can also wear toe separators while you're sitting around the house. You can only wear them in shoes if you have a wider toe box in your shoe, which is highly recommended so that your feet can can move and your toes can move to help you with balance. So let's just start with an awareness practice. I want you to go ahead and take your feet about hip width and straighten the outer edge of your feet. And let's just close our eyes for a moment. Take a few breaths in and out, relaxing. And also noticing, being aware of the pressure at the bottom of your foot, where that pressure is on each foot. Just being aware of your connection to the earth. And then we're going to begin a practice of passive movement of the feet. So passive movement is when we use our hands or somebody else's hands to move parts of our foot passively, so that we're not actively engaging the muscles and using the muscles to actually make the movement. We're using our hands to make the movement. For this portion of the practice, you need to have access to your foot. So you need to be able to reach your foot. And if that is not possible due to knee issues or range of motion issues, then maybe you could have a loved one or a friend help you with this part of the practice. So I'm going to go ahead and cross my ankle over my knee so that I have access to my foot. And mine's a little bit cold. I'm going to start by just rubbing my foot and just giving myself a little bit of self-massage. We'll try not to stay with our foot or knee crossed over too long. See if you can sit up tall. And if you need some support behind the back, perhaps grabbing a pillow or a blanket or something behind your back, you can sit back against the back of the chair. And if you are shorter, you can certainly place something under your feet to elevate your legs or to elevate your leg. So we'll just start by rubbing the foot out a little bit. If you cramp up, simply bring the foot down, place it on the ground, and press down until that cramping goes away. And then you can bring the foot back up. Good. So now we're going to hold the toes. So I've got my palm on the top of my toes, and we're just going to bend the toes and straighten them out and then pull them back slightly. So we're bending and straightening, bending and straightening, and you're moving through a pain-free range of motion. So if it hurts to bend your toes to here, you're not going to bend that far. You're going to bend less far, and then opening and stretching them back. Bending. Now I'm going to just circle my toes around. So I'm holding the ball of my, under the ball of my foot and the arch of my foot with the opposite hand while I move my toes around, circling them in one direction and then in the other direction. And then I'm going to move my supporting hand down to my ankle. I'm going to take my other fingers on the sole of my foot and my thumb on top, and I'm just going to twist. I've got my hands on my fingers on the ball of my foot, twist my foot around. I'm just twisting it, trying to bring the sole of the foot open, but not moving the ankle and the sole of the foot away from me. So towards and away. And if that's not comfortable with that hand, you could try with the other hand, clamping the fingers on top and just rotating really the forefoot, keeping the ankle still. Just a little twist and hold, a little twist and hold. And then I'm going to move up my hand to my calf and my shin, and I'm going to begin to circle my ankle with my other hand. So now I'm moving the ankle. You want to take this one a little bit deeper. You can go ahead and weave a finger between each toe, holding hands with your toes, and then circling the ankles around. We're going slow and steady. And then we're going to point the toes, and then we're going to flex the foot. So I'm pointing and flexing. Pointing And flexing. One more time, point, flex. Good, relax the foot and release. And just kind of take your hands and squeeze the toes, release, squeeze, release. And I'm going to work my hands up my foot towards the heel, just squeezing and then releasing, getting to the heel, and then wrapping my hands on the front of my shin and the back of my calf, up the Achilles, and then even up the calf, sliding that foot into a more crossed position off of the top of the knee. And then I'm going to squeeze back down. Repositioning the foot as needed. All right. And then just tap out the foot, starting at the toes and the top of the foot, and just tap it all the way up to the knee. And then tap the inner side of the foot and then all the way up to the knee. And then we'll tap just little taps and really up the back of the calf. And then the outer edge of the foot and up the outer edge of the calf. And then place that foot down. All right, place both the feet back on the floor where we started. Straighten the outer edge of your feet. Sit up nice and tall and close your eyes for a second and just bring some awareness to the feet. Noticing and observing what the foot that we just worked on feels like versus the foot that we did not work on yet. And you may notice something and you may not. Peek down and look at the color of the foot we just worked on versus the color of the other foot. My foot looks much more pinkish. It actually feels warmer to touch. It actually feels more alive. Let's come up onto the balls of the feet, pushing the ankles forward and then lower down. So a few more of those. 1 and down. This is active movement. 2, press the balls of the feet down and the ankles forward and up and down. 5, down, and 6, and down, and 7, that crack was me, and down, and 8, and down. Good. Let's circle around a few times, just kind of getting the hips opened up. We've been sitting for a while. And then we're going to repeat that sequence on the opposite foot. Circle in the other direction for a few times. So this is just kind of getting some movement into the hips and the low back since we've been sitting for a little while and we had our leg crossed up over the opposite leg. So we need to balance ourselves out, come back to a nice seated position. If you're in a chair and you want to bring something behind your back for support, you can. If you want to move positions, I'm going to come down onto the floor for this foot. So we're going to start by just giving the foot a little massage and rubbing it out. If you want to elevate the opposite foot up and cross that foot over the ankle, you can. Also here, just giving the foot a little massage. Should feel good. Feels really good if you get somebody else to do it. So, and then we're going to clasp the toes, wrapping. I put my palm on the ball of my foot and of my opposite hand, and I'm wrapping my fingers around, and I'm bending the toes and then straightening them and pulling them back. So bending and curling them down, and then straightening them and pulling them back. just gentle through your normal range. You can pause when you get to bringing those toes straight and as far back as you can. And then when you curl them around and bend them, you can pause there. Or you can keep your movement going. I'm going to use my other hand to stabilize my foot, hold my toes all straight, and I'm going to circle them around in one direction. I think he's kind of escaping wind. Make sure he's gathering. Moving him through whatever full range you have, and then reversing that direction. Oh, now there's another crack in the ending house. All right, then I'm going to move my supporting hand. I'm going to slide it up a little bit, and I'm going to use my opposite hand, holding my thumb underneath and clamping my fingers on top like an alligator. And I'm just twisting my forefoot. I'm holding my ankle still. So I'm really just moving my foot, trying to bring the sole of my foot up and the ball sole of my foot down. Just moving through that range. Slowing down. Not to pain. You can use either hand that feels more comfortable for you to use. And then I'm going to slide my foot a little bit further through, and I'm going to hold above the ankle and the foot, and I'm going to circle the ankle around now. So I'm not using my muscles to circle around. I'm using my hand to circle that ankle and get some movement. If you'd like to do the finger weave, that's going to open up the space between the toes, which is important. I'm going to weave a finger between each toe and then just hold hands with my toes as I circle my ankle around. And if that's too much for you, maybe you're just weaving your fingers at the top of your toes, maybe not reaching them down to that webbed base, but moving the ankle around. If you haven't already reversed directions, go ahead and reverse directions. And then I'm going to point my foot, and then I'm going to flex it. So pulling back, toes towards knees, pulling away, stretching the front of the ankle as well as the toes long. So I'm flexing, pointing, pointing. And then releasing and starting that tapping the bottom of the foot, up the back of the calf, use one hand or two. And then the inner edge of the leg, the foot, all the way up to the knee. Come back down if you want, down the shin, and then back up. From the toes to the knee, and then bringing your leg off and tapping the outer edge, hinging forward from the hip to get there. And back up. And then we did the squeeze. So we started at the toes. So you might need to bring your foot back over, and we squeeze, release, squeeze, release. It doesn't have to be hard. Just give your foot a squeeze as you work your way up your foot towards the ankle. Up the ankle, and then up the front and the back of the leg. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. Good. Bring that foot back down. Place your feet on the earth, whether you're on the floor or on your chair. And close your eyes for a second. And just notice how your feet feel. They feel equal temperature. Maybe open your eyes and take a peek down at them. How does the coloring look? Up to the balls and feet, and then lower down and up and down. That's 3. Down. I'm going to come up onto my stool. Keep going. 4 and down. 5 and down. 6 down. 7, 8 and down. Good. I want you to just tap your feet out. Just tap the whole foot, lift and lower. Move back slightly. All right. Let's work 1 foot at a time for this next. If you're sitting in a chair, you may need to use a block or a book or a stack of books or even a pillow or something where you can place the heel of 1 foot up onto the block, straightening that leg, maybe not totally straight, but straightening it more than the other leg. Yep, you could use 1 or 2 blocks, whatever's higher. You want to have a little bend in this knee because we're gonna try some windshield wipers with 1 foot at a time. So here you're going to draw your toes back towards your nose and just windshield wiper your foot right and left and side to side. Now I want you to go ahead and hold your thigh and your knee. You're moving from the ankle. So you're sweeping like your foot is a windshield wiper, and the connection where the movement starts and occurs is at the ankle. It is not at the knee or the hip. So here I'm moving my upper leg and my lower leg, and my foot's just coming along. I'm really not moving my ankle. And here I'm holding all of this stationary and just waving my foot side to side. I'm using the homecoming queen wave with the foot. Or it could be the queen's wave, right? All right, let's switch legs. So try the other foot. Draw the toes back towards the nose, flexing the foot, bending at the ankle to a nice 90 degree if you can. Spread the toes out as much as you can, and then just wave the foot side to side. Take it as far in one direction as you can. You can hold the thigh and the knee. You're really moving from the ankle. You may see a little twisting of the shin bone, moving in and out. You may feel a little movement occur under the knee, but the movement is not at the knee joint or at the hip. You may feel stuff working all the way up into the calves. Good. Relax that foot. Good. Bring both feet back. You can keep them elevated and maybe use your blocks here if you'd like, or you can have them directly on the floor. We're going to bend the knees equally and we're going to lift and lower the feet down. If you have your blocks, when you lower down, you can actually curl your toes under and then lift up the heels. Lift up so you're on your heels and the foot is lifted. You ready? Here we go. Lower and lift, lower, lift, lower, lift up as high as you can, lower, lift, lower, and lift. One more time, lower, lift and hold. Hold them up as high as you can. Pull those toes back. Try to spread the toes out. Hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Uh-oh, it's starting to rain. Windshield wiper for 5, 5, 4, 4, 3. Don't move the knees or the thighs. 1 and 1. Good. Lower it down. Good. Bring your feet to the edge of the block so the balls of the feet are on your blocks. And I want you to just lift your toes as high as you can. Lift all the toes up. Keep the balls of the feet down. And then lower the toes down and curl them around the block. Okay, here we go. Toe lifts. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. That's 3, high as you can, and lower. 4, looking good, and lower. 5, hold them up. Okay, we're gonna do rapid fire. Lower lift, lower lift, lower lift for 5. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, and relax. Take your blocks away, bring your feet back down to the earth, and just tap them out. All right. So that completes some of the passive and active work in a seated position. We're now going to try some standing things. If you don't feel up to standing today, you can remain seated and do some of these things. You might just need to modify, but we're going to do it standing so that we're loading the tissues, the lower legs, and the tissues of the foot and the ankle. So go ahead and come up to standing, if you will. And I'm going to have you primarily see my lower body and my feet because that's the body part we're working on. So if you can't see my face, know that I am not headless. I am here. But take your feet about hip width. So this would be wider than hip width. I'm going to take them hip width and straighten the outer edge of your feet. And the first thing we're going to do is if you feel imbalanced, come near a wall or bring the chair to either the side or in front of you so that you can hold on. Because I don't want you to lose your balance. So first thing we're going to do is get our hips back. So instead of having your hips forward and your knees forward of your ankles, that you see from my side view as I am, you're going to back your hips up to try to get a vertical leg. And a vertical leg is the side of the hip, the side of the knee, and the side of the ankle forming a plumb line. So it is not tucking the pelvis under or shifting the hips forward. It's shifting back. So if I was standing against a wall, everything would be fairly flush with the wall. Okay. So when I say hips back or vertical leg, you'll know what that means. So let's start. You can hold onto your chair by pressing down into the balls of the feet and lifting the toes up. Lift all 10 of them. If you have 10, if you don't, lift as many as you have. And then lower down. So here we go. You ready? Lift them all. Lower. 3. Lower. 4. When you place them back down, try not to squeeze them into the ground or create any toe bending, and lift, hold them up and lower. Try to gently place them back down so that your toes can freely move and help you with balance. One more time, lift and lower. Good. Now I want you to press the big toes down and see if you can lift the other 4. Lift and lower, lift and lower. 3 and lower. 4, lower. One more time. 5, we're going to hold. Hold all the toes up. Hold all the toes up. Good. Press the big toes down and lower. If any of these movements are hard for you, you can come down and use your hands to help lift any toes that are lagging behind. And that's more passive work, but you need to be able to get to your toes to do that. All right, still holding onto your chair or to a wall. We're going to come up onto the balls of the feet and then lower down. When you come up, you're trying to get your ankle to come straight forward and you're trying not to lose your vertical leg. So you're trying to keep your hips back. So you're coming straight up and straight down, as opposed to the ankles and the knees bowing out or being out here. I want to go straight up and straight down like I'm an elevator. You ready? 1 and lower. 2 and lower. 3 and lower. 4 and lower. 5, Hold it up as high as you can for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower it down. Good. March it out. Tap those feet. All right. We're going to do one more stretch here. This is called top of the foot stretch. I would recommend maybe grabbing a bolster or a pillow or a blanket or something for under your feet. This can be sensitive area when you first start doing it, but a lot of people get tightness here in the top of the foot and the front of the ankle, which restricts their ankle and toe bending. So if you're going to use a blanket, let me just grab one so I can demonstrate, or a bolster or a pillow. You're going to place it behind you, hold a chair, something for safety, get your hips back, and you're going to lift one leg up and curl the toes under. So here my foot is nice and close. I'll go in different angles, and I'm pressing, instead of just bending my toes under, I'm pressing my ankle forward and down. If you can take that leg back, the more you straighten that leg and bring it back, the more you're loading the tissues of the foot. But if that's too much, you keep a bent knee and keep it closer to you. Try to stand up tall. You can use the chair to help you stand up nice and tall. Straighten both the legs as much as you can. If the back leg needs to stay bent, that's okay. I want you to, holding your chair, bend your knees, lift your back leg up, curl the toes under, and then stand back straight up. Move that back leg back and stand straight up. So now you're pressing the ball of the foot down and bending the toes in a more loaded position. And some of you may have guessed it, this is the push-off phase of our gait cycle. Stretching the leg and the hip as well. And you're balancing, but hold on. Good, bring that foot back down. We're gonna switch sides. So curling the toes under with the bent knee, keeping the hips back. Using a blanket or a pillow under your foot if you need it. Bringing the ankle forward, so I'm not just curling the toes under, I'm bringing the ankle forward and down, stretching even the arch of the foot here. If I'm okay with it here and I want more, I can bring that foot further back, straightening out the leg. And if that's too much, I'm going to keep the foot closer to my body with the bent knee in the back. Holding on if you need to. Pressing the ankle both forward and down. And breathing. I'm going to bend both my knees, lift my back leg, curl the toes under, scoot that leg back, and then stand up straight. Bending at the toes and loading those toes a little bit. If it's too much, I'm going to bring my foot up closer and bend my knee, and only come to whatever level of stretch doesn't create pain. I'm balancing here. Bend both your knees, push off the back ball of that foot and bring that foot forward. Good. I'm going to turn face forward. Try to press the big toes down, spread the other 4 toes away when you lift them up, and then place them back down gently onto the earth. Back your hips up, getting a nice vertical leg. All right, and we're going to do a few breaths here, and we're going to link our breath with our movement. But instead of moving our arms like we normally do, we're going to move our toes. So we're going to inhale as we lift our toes up. And exhale as we lower the toes slowly down. 3 more of those. Inhale up. Hold. Exhale down. Inhale up. Hold, exhale down. One more time, inhale up. And exhale down. Go ahead and come back around to your chair and have a seat. Once you're in your seat, we're going to lift our feet up off the ground, straightening our legs, flexing our feet, pulling our toes back to the nose. Let your feet relax and just kick your legs like you're taking a little swim in the ocean. And your feet are being floppy, they're being relaxed, just like if you held your arms down by your side and shook your hands out with your hands relaxed, your hands and wrists would be floppy. I call this floppy feet. Whenever we have issues with the feet, there's a tendency to hold a lot of tightness and tension and not let those feet be relaxed and movable. So practice floppy feet if this one's hard for you. Go ahead and flex the feet again. Stop being floppy. Turn the soles of the feet to face each other, and let's give yourselves a foot instead of a hand. Yay! Good. Bring your feet back down. And we are done today's practice for foot movement, neuropathy, both passive and active. Great job. I hope you all enjoyed it. You can play the video and redo this practice as often as you like. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. If you're interested in other live or recorded programs, please visit the online program tab of our website, cscatlanta.org. Or follow us on Facebook. We'll be sharing additional information on upcoming programs.